Hi, if you're starting to join, please put in the comments where you are watching from, and we will get started in just a couple of minutes. Just want to make sure I have everything set up and ready to go. So please feel free to comment where you're watching from, and we will get started in just a couple minutes. Hi, Tammy. It's good to see you. Thank you for joining. I hope you've had a good day so far. It's still really toasty here. I think we're supposed to get a cold front Sunday night, maybe going into Monday. So it's always nice to get that change of seasons, because I think today it's up in the 90s again, which is always fun. All right, we'll wait about one more minute, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. Today, we're going to be using the Humble Home stamp set, which I think is just really cute. One of the things that I did was I also let a good friend of mine who's a realtor know about this set. She's not really a stamper, but she likes doing things like this every now and then, so I thought this would be a cute set that they could make for cards to send to people that are buying new homes. So it's super cute and a lot of fun. Hi, Susan. Please let us know where you're watching from, and we will get started in about 1 minute or less. Ooh, Tammy, that's nice that you've been in the 60s. I can't remember the last time we saw the 60s. It's been a while. My younger son moved to St. Louis because he said he hated the Dallas heat. So it's just super hot here most of the time, especially in the summer. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Today, we are going to be using the Humble Home set, and we are going to be using oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank. Hold on, let me get it. Sorry about that. I had it across the room. We're going to be using the Take a Bow or Take a Bow Designer Series paper with this set, which is really kind of fun. I love the colors in this. It mainly uses Real Red, Granny Apple Green, and Garden Green. So it makes for a really pretty set of cards, especially for the holidays. So, all right, so let's get started. On card number 1, this is probably, I won't say the most difficult because it's not super hard, but it does use some embossing. I did save us some time so that you wouldn't have to wait for stuff to actually get embossed. And so we will have some cheats made that I did just to make things go a little quicker. So we're going to start with a white cardstock base, and then from that we have, let me kind of move this over. So as you can tell, I already dry embossed and punched out our gingerbread house, but we have a piece of Real Red that I embossed with this really pretty new embossing folder that they have called the Forever Plaid 3D embossing folder. If you have not seen this, it just really makes beautiful cards, and I love the embossing because it's pretty pronounced. But this piece is 4 by 3.5, and so that is going to go in the middle. And then we have 2 of the strips of DSP, and these are 3/4 of an inch by 4 inches. So we are going to just glue these onto our card front. We'll tell you what, we'll do this one first so that we can make sure everything comes out the way it needs to, spacing wise. So we're just going to put it on the edge and leave maybe 1/8 of an inch on the edge. And then we're going to do the same thing on the right-hand side with this other piece of DSP. And then we will center the red in the middle. And that way we can make sure that we have enough room for all 3 pieces. I think this set is a lot of fun. It's one that you can use for a lot of different things, which is always nice. So we're just going to throw some glue on the back of here and adhere this flat and just kind of center it in between the 2 pieces of DSP that are on here. Okay, so this is what you have so far. So now we have a tag that is just white cardstock, and this was cut from the Greetings of the Season die cuts, which is a really nice set of just tags to have. And so we're going to put this, actually we're going to stamp this before we do anything else. So we're going to use Early Espresso ink, and we are going to stamp from our house to yours. And just kind of stamp it in the upper left portion. And then we are going to use dimensionals to pop that up onto our card front. Do you guys have a preference on which types of dimensionals that you like? I really don't. I tend to use the larger ones when my surface area is a little bigger, but if it's smaller, then I'll use the little ones. I noticed that one of my good friends, who's also a demonstrator, said that she likes to use the little ones all the time because she just feels like they always fit, which I guess is a good point. All right, so we are just going to pop this up kind of in the middle. Okay, and then normally what I would do is take Versamark ink and stamp our gingerbread house on that, and then use our white embossing powder. I did all of this ahead of time, and I'll be honest, the main reason I did it is because I have another Zoom meeting at 6:30, and I didn't want to be pressed for time, and I figured that would probably take more time than anything else. So we're just going to use the one that I've already done, but this is Early Espresso paper with white embossing powder, and so all we're going to do on this is we are going to use dimensionals and just put it at the bottom. One thing we're going to do is not do it all the way over to the right side, and I'll show you why in a minute. But I'm going to use the smaller dimensionals, on this one so that we can get it kind of closer to the corners. I guess it kind of depends on how talented you are. Some days I'm a little lacking in that, especially, whenever I have my big fingers trying to do things. I always think about my late mother whenever I see gingerbread houses. She used to love those during the holidays, and so a lot of years we were very fortunate in that we were able to move her up here closer to us, and so I would get her things like that for Christmas. So when I saw this set, I thought, wow, that kind of reminds me of her, which is nice. All right, so we're just going to use dimensionals and put that right there, which is super cute. But to top it off, because these are not available right now, I do have 1 or 2 packs of these that I bought during our pre-order. And so I'm going to use the peppermint just for this particular card. So if you do place an order of $35 or more, when I send you the supplies to make this card, I will include enough of the peppermint for you to make this, because it only takes 3. So I'm going to take one of the medium ones, and I'm going to put that right over, I don't know if you can see it, there is a little heart for the door, which is cute, but we're going to put a peppermint over it just to make it even cuter. And then what I'm going to do, excuse me, is I am going to take the other 2 peppermints and make it look like smoke is coming out of the chimney. And so that's why I said don't put your card all the way, or don't put the gingerbread house all the way over to the right, just because that way it gives you a little more room to do that. And then we are going to take our red and white twine, and we are going to put that up here at the top with a glue dot. And this is not a whole lot, and then you'll just trim your, ends of your bow just wherever you would like it. And again, I did a lot of this ahead of time because I knew that I had an event at 6:30, and so I was trying to not be late for that. So, and I tell you what, just to decorate this up even more, we're going to put just a couple more peppermints up here at the top, just to kind of bring that in, because it's so cute. I just love these peppermints. So again, if you place an order of $35 or more, you will get all of the supplies to make the 4 cards that we're doing today, and you will receive the peppermints for this one, as well as all the supplies to make these. So this is card number 1. Tammy, I see your question about which die are you talking about for the tag. That's called Greetings of the Season, and it was one of the online exclusives. All right, so let's move to card number 2. Let me put these up so I don't throw them somewhere. All right, so card number 2 is going to be, let's see. well, if I can get all the pieces out. Let's see. Here we go. This. So this one has a couple of little pieces. All right. Okay, so on this one, we are going to start. So this one is Real Red, is your card base, and it's just your standard card base of 8.5 by 5.5 and scored at 4 1/4. And then we are going to take a piece of the basic beige, and we are going to glue that to the center, and this is 4 by 5 1/4. So we are going to glue that down. All right, and then next, we are going to take this designer series paper and glue that into the middle of the basic beige. And this piece is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. So it's going to be a little bit, it's going to leave a little smaller edge between that and the basic beige. Excuse me. Have a frog in my throat. All right. Okay. So next we have 2 pieces, and one of these I've already dry embossed it with the snowflake sky. So we have a piece of Real Red that is 4 by 2 3/4, and then this basic beige piece is 3 7/8 by 2 5/8, and it's embossed with the snowflake sky. So this will come to you already like this. So we're going to adhere this together, and you do not want to glue this to the card yet, or you'll be doing what I did last week when I had to pull it off, which is always an adventure. So we are just going to glue this down. Sometimes it's kind of nice just to leave these really small edges because it just doesn't put a lot of extra space there, but it still gives it the effect. So now what we're going to do is we are going to wrap our red and white twine around this and tie a bow over here on the left-hand side. So what we're going to do is take our red and white twine, and I just love this. I think this is so cute. I actually have been working on some cards that I'm getting ready to do for a retreat using the reindeer fun, and I've been designing those. And so I've actually gone through, I finished today going through an entire roll of this, and that's quite a bit because it comes with like 15 yards. So it's a really good deal because I think it's only $5. And I want to say it might be back in stock. I can't remember if it came back or not, but I think it did. So it's a really good deal right now, if it is. If not, it's supposed to come back this week, I believe. So, but $5 for 15 yards is pretty nice. So I'm just putting a piece of the tear and tape on the back of this so that it will hold down my twine whenever I wrap it back there. And that's just so I can kind of position it and I don't have to keep holding on to it. So I'm going to give myself a little bit of wiggle room, and I know that I might end up with way too much, but I'd rather too much than not enough. So then I'm just going to take it like this and then wrap this around 2 times. Whoops. See, this is what I didn't want it to go flying off the desk, because you just never know if it's going to. All right, and then give myself some extra space here. There we go. All right, so now we're going to take this and we're just simply going to move these so I can find them again whenever I need them. And then we're just going to tie a bow over on the left-hand side. And again, I think I probably pulled off a little bit too much, but better to have too much than not enough. All right. I usually will tie like a double knot here, just so I don't have to keep holding it. So there we go. So now it's a little easier to make my bow. And then I can just pull that through. There we go. And again, it is way too long, but like we said, it's better to be too long than too short. All right, I may wait to trim it just because I may change the size of my bow before I finalize it. So I'm going to go ahead now and glue this onto the center of this. So I'm just going to use regular glue. You can use whatever type of adhesive that you would like. But it's kind of nice because I already have that tear and tape that's holding down the twine just to kind of keep that in place. All right, there we go. Okay, doke. So next I'm going to use black Memento ink, and I'm going to stamp the gingerbread house. Okay, and then I am going to punch that out, which I do that pretty often before I color it, just in case I don't like the way it punches. So what's nice is you can just line this up in here. And sometimes I kind of press it a little bit down before I punch, just because I want to make sure that it goes in the right place. All right, so here we go, and here's our punched out little house. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to use the light Real Red blend to blend this, or to color this. But I will be honest with you, for time's sake, I already did one of these so that you wouldn't have to wait on me to do it. So we're going to use the one that I've already done. So the next thing that we are going to do is we have our circle and we have our heart. Oh, and you know, the one thing we did not stamp is the wreath, and then we'll color the wreath with the blends. So again, we're going to use the black Memento ink, and we are going to stamp one of the little wreaths. This is a super cute little stamp. It's kind of small, but it's really cute. And then I used Old Olive. I used the dark Old Olive blend, and then the Real Red blend, the same one that I used for the house. It is the light Real Red. So we're just going to color that and then fussy cut around it. I might want to get my glasses so I don't go outside the lines. is what happens when you've had too many birthdays. I think that was what my eye doctor told me whenever I first started noticing that I just couldn't see up close anymore. So it was kind of funny. All right, so there's our light Real Red, and then we'll use our dark Old Olive. And I usually just use the blunt end on these just because I find that way I can kind of control where the tip is going a little better. And sometimes all I do is just kind of touch it. I don't even stroke, because that way, if the ink bleeds, I haven't pushed it off the design. All right, so there we go. All right, so then whenever we fussy cut this, and I'm not going to make you stand here, I did one ahead of time. So here it is, and we will use that to put in the middle of our house. So we are going to take our garden green ink, and we are going to stamp Merry Christmas on our circle. So let me get, here we go. Wanted to make sure I had the right stamp. So here we go. And we're just going to kind of stamp this in the middle. And that is garden green ink. I don't know that we're using that one again, so I'll set it off to the side. All right, so I'm going to use dimensionals and put this on our card. So let me grab those. One thing that I do try to be careful of is when you use the blends, especially whenever you use a lot of them, you can see that it kind of bleeds through. So, you know, try to do that to where it's not on top of cardstock that you're going to be using for something else. All right, and then we will take our little wreath, and we're going to use, whoops, a mini glue dot to glue that down. And we're just going to put this kind of right in the middle of the house at the apex of that roof. And then we will use dimensionals to put this over here on the left side of our rectangle. So again, we'll use dimensionals on that. Hi, Gina. I know where you're watching from, but for the sake of the others, let us know where you're watching from. Tammy, right now, I think it's just the three of us, but Gina and I grew up in the same small town. So, it's kind of funny. I actually meant to send you a message this week, and I haven't done it. All right, so now what we're going to do is go ahead and we'll trim our bow now that we have everything else on here. And then we will use our embellishments and make it cute. All right, so let me get my scissors and just kind of trim this. So the embellishments that I am using for this set, oh, I forgot to put the heart on here. We'll do that here in a second. Is I am using these Cherry Cobbler and Pearl hearts. I know that technically this is Cherry Cobbler, but it really goes really nice with this red. And I think because it has the variations in the coloring, you don't even really notice it. So we're going to use a glue dot on this little heart. And then put it up just right above our Merry Christmas. And then we will use some of our Cherry Cobbler embellishments to decorate this up. Let's see, where else? We'll put one down here, and we'll do a couple up in the other corner. All right, so there we go. So there is card number 2, and it is just a fun card. So, all right, so let me get us card number 3. So our next one is one that uses some more embossing, because I just love our embossing folders. They're so pretty and they really make it nice. All right, so we are going to start off with our designer series paper, and then we will glue everything down. So this paper, just to let you know, this is Garden Green, and our card base, let me get the actual measurements for you so I don't misquote this. Our measurements, well, I didn't write them down, are 6 3/8 by 5.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4. So I think I cut off 2 1/8 inch, if I remember correctly. Yes, that's correct. So once you do your half a sheet, just cut off 2 1/8 inch, and then you'll have it and score it at 4 1/4. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do just to get this part done is I'm going to take, this is a piece of pecan pie, and this is 4 by 5 1/4, and it's embossed with the 3D exposed brick, and I'm going to just glue this down on the inside. And then we will finish up the rest of the inside in a few minutes, but that way we'll have this part done. All right. I love this exposed brick. To me, it just kind of reminds me of that old world feel, which is always fun. All right. And then we have 2 pieces of DSP. For the dotted circles, this piece is 5 1/4 by 1 1/8. And this green with the stars on it is 5 1/4 by 3/4 of an inch. So we're going to glue these down. And then we will do the same thing with this other. And as you can tell, one of these is just the reverse side of the other paper, which is always kind of fun. All right. Whoops. There we go. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is you will have a deckled rectangle in your kit, and this is approximately 2 3/4 by 4. And I say approximately because it's really kind of hard to get the exact measurement sometimes. So what we're going to do is we're going to stamp "Thank You" up at the top in garden green. So this would be a fun card if someone gave you a gift, like a housewarming gift or something along that line, and then you can send them this as a thank you. All right, and then before we stamp, we're also going to be putting a big heart over here, but before we do that, I want to go ahead and make our, make our house that's going to go down here so that we can punch that out. So I did not do any of this ahead of time, so hopefully we can get this right, because sometimes I have been known to take more than once to get these correct. All right, so we're going to use Real Red ink and use our house stamp, which is like full of bricks. It's pretty cute. Get that inked up and then stamp that. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp the roof. So we are going to make the roof pecan pie. And so we will ink that. Let's see if I can get this on here straight. Some days I do okay, and other days it's a little more challenging. It's not too terribly bad. All right, so now we're going to punch that out. So put this, tell you what, I'm going to close this up before I stick my finger in it. So we're just going to put this in here, and again, I like to squeeze the punch down about halfway just to kind of grab the paper so that if I need to adjust it, I can, so that I'm not ending up with something cockeyed. All right, let's see. So that's something I didn't mention a while ago, which is kind of neat about this punch. In addition to punching out the house, it also punches a little heart. And then you also see a dot up here if you want to put that on the doorknob. And then there's a little square. So what that square is for, and you can kind of see the pieces, is it's actually for the windows. So if you wanted to do that, you could. We actually already have those cut out and ready to go. So I made those in pecan pie, and the way you do that is there is a stamp that has the windows, the two windows and the door. So I've already done that so that I could fussy cut these out with just a pair of scissors, and you wouldn't have to sit here and watch me do that. So let me show you what these look like. And then that little square will punch out these little bitty windows if you want to use them. All right, so here's our door and two windows. And so we are just going to glue these on flat. So I'm going to use a glue dot on these because that way I don't have glue going everywhere and we don't have it. It's just a little easier to control this way. All right, and then we will put this one down. I like to use these lines on the bricks to kind of line them up a little bit so that I can try to get it straight. And then we'll put a glue dot on each of the windows, and so we'll do one here. Whoops. Make that, fold that over a little bit if we need to. And then let me get one more. There we go. And then you are just going to kind of put these next to the door. There we go. There's one. And we'll try to get the other one even with that one. It almost feels like you're playing with paper dolls on some of this. All right, so there we go. So there's our little house. All right, so what we're going to do now is we are just going to kind of eyeball this for a minute and put this on here so that, because we're going to stamp a big heart over here with this stamp, and we're going to use the Real Red. And on this one, we're going to stamp this full strength. We're going to do one on the inside where we'll stamp off, but on this one we want to do it full strength. But I wanted to kind of get the house situated so I could kind of just eyeball where I want to put this. So we're going to move that and stamp that on here. There we go. And then what we'll do is use dimensionals and put this on here, and it'll cover up part of the heart. And it'll look like, instead of a sun coming up or a moon coming up, now we're going to have a heart coming up around the house, which is always fun. Here we go. I was looking for my dimensionals. So we'll put some of these on here to pop it up a little bit. Here we go, and just kind of put this along the bottom. Hi, Anna. Hi, Betsy. It's good to see you guys. All right, and then we are going to adhere this. I'm going to move these out of the way. We are not going to be using these. Normally, I would probably keep them, but honestly, since it cuts one every time, we're not going to worry about it. So we're just going to adhere this on our card, and we want to make sure we only put glue on this part so that we don't glue the whole thing down. I have not done that, but I have seen other people do that, and it's always nice that we're playing with paper and we can just cut another piece. All right, so then we're just going to kind of put this in the center. When I do a card like this, I always put the front piece on first, and I'll show you why. Hi, Anna. It is no problem that you are late at all. Okay, so now we are going to do our inside piece, which is 2.5 by 3 3/4. And we are going to stamp. We're going to assume this is a thank you card for someone coming to like an open house. And so we are going to stamp, thank you for coming. So we are going to use our Real Red ink and just stamp that in the middle. Okay. And then what we want to do, I mentioned a while ago that we were going to stamp off on the inside. So let me here we go. Here's some scratch paper. So we want to stamp our red heart, and we're going to do two things. I'm going to kind of put this on here because I don't want to stamp on my glass mat. I know I could, and then I can always clean it later, but I didn't want to do that right now. All right, so then we just stamped off and then put the heart down there in the bottom left corner, which makes it kind of fun. So now what we want to do is adhere that to the inside. And one of the things that I always try to do is when I'm going to do that, I will put some glue on the back of this, and I will kind of situate it like that and then fold this over so that it ends up not peeking out of the, making sure you can see this, so that it doesn't end up being visible whenever the card is shut. So let's do that. All right, so we are going to just do this and then kind of fold this over and then bring it back. And then sometimes it's a little bit, so we'll move it over just a little. I always try to make sure it's straight. This one is actually a little bit to the left, but that's okay, because at least that way you can't see it whenever the card is shut. So there is this, and then we just want to put a bow on the bottom corner. So I tied these ahead of time so that I could hopefully not make you spend a lot of time watching me tie a bow. And then we are going to just put this down here with a mini glue dot in the corner, and then we will trim off our edges so that it's not super long. Okay, all right, and then we will throw some of our embellishments on here. All right, so again, for those of you that just joined, we are using the Cherry Cobbler and Pearl embellishments with this set. I know that technically the DSP has Real Red in it, but I just felt like we could use these and they would be just as cute. And there's enough variations in these colors that I think it looks really pretty with it. All right, so we'll put one here, and then we'll throw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll do one more up here on our brick, just to kind of bring it all together. All right, so here is card number 3. All right, so we have one more to go. So this one is going to have a Real Red card base, and this is just our standard 5.5 by 8.5 scored at 4 1/4. And then we have a few other things. I'm trying to not lose pieces. And then we can get going. All right, so the first thing is we have our DSP that looks like this, and this piece is 4 by 5 1/4. So we're going to glue that on to the front of our card. I really love this paper. To me, it just, I don't know, it just kind of screams fun, which is always kind of nice. All right, and then the next thing that I want to do is glue these two pieces together, and I tend to do these kind whenever they're stacked like this. I'll usually glue them first and then glue them onto here. So we're going to just glue them flat as far as onto the DSP, but I still like to glue them first just because, I don't know, makes me feel like then I've got them already lined up and they're good to go. All right, so we'll put this green. Oh, and let me give you the measurements for these pieces. So this Real Red piece of cardstock is 2.5 by 4, and the DSP, the green, is 2 3/8 by 3 7/8. So super cute. And then we are just going to glue this to the center of the card front. So we will go ahead and do that next. There we go. And then we are going to put a circle, and this is using one of the punches. This is using the 2 3/8 inch punch, but we are going to wait a minute before we do that. And the next thing that we're going to do is stamp our house out of this scrap white paper. So again, we're going to use the Real Red ink, and this time we'll have a different roof color. So we are using our Real Red. And then we are going to use basic gray for the roof on this one. All right, let's see if I can get this one on straight. Boy, there have been some that I've put on here, and they've just kind of been like all over the place. So you never know what you're going to end up with. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and punch this out. Whoops. I really like this punch. One of the things that I've thought about doing, and I have not done it yet, but, you know, when I was playing with the country birdhouses, there was an idea that I saw that was super cute, where you took white cardstock and you folded it, and then you punched it to where like this edge would be hanging off the edge just a little bit, and then it would open up as a card. And I thought that would be cute to do with this set too. I just haven't done that yet, so we'll have to play with that and see what it looks like. All right, and so then for our door and our windows, I actually did those ahead of time. And so we have a basic gray door along with 2 windows that are also the basic gray. Let me see if I can turn everything over. Not sure why I have that. Okay, so we are going to assemble that. And again, I'm going to use glue dots to do that. So we'll do one here, one here, and we will put the door on first so that I can try to get that straight and in the middle. And then next we'll do the 2 windows. I don't know that that's super straight. There we go. That's a little better. All right, so we will do one right here, and then we will do the other one on the other side. So one of the things that I did was I used this punch, and I punched out some of the glitter hearts, and I did one in the white glitter. And I don't know if you can really see how that sparkles, but it just, to me, it just kind of adds something fun to this card. Anytime I can throw in some glimmer paper, it always makes me happy. All right, and so we will put our little heart up at the apex of the house. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to do is we are going to glue that flat to this red circle. It's a Real Red 2 3/8 punched out circle. Tell you what I'm going to do is kind of turn this way. And then on this little banner, this is cut from the Stylish Shapes dies. I am going to stamp welcome in the basic gray. So we have our welcome stamp. I always have this fear whenever I'm stamping on something that's already die cut that it's going to be really wackadoo, because you just never know. All right, so we're going to use our small dimensionals and put those on the back of this. Oh, and you know what? I don't think I've glued down my house yet. I have not. So before I do that, I'm going to use dimensionals on the back of this. I'm going to use the bigger ones. Okay, and then we are just going to put this to where the roof is just barely on top of the circle, and then we will position the welcome banner to where it is just underneath the house. So let me see if I can do this without getting it to move. There we go. All right, and then what we are going to do now, put these up here so I can find them again, is we are going to just use dimensionals and put this in the middle. That way it will pop up quite a bit, which is always fun. Whoops. And just kind of put this in the middle, maybe up just a little. Okay, and then we will tie a bow with the red and white twine. Whoops, and I am so sorry, I just hit the camera. And we will use a mini glue dot to attach that to the bottom. Just at the bottom right of the welcome, just to kind of stick a little bow down there, and then we'll trim off the excess. All right, and then use some of our Cherry Cobbler and Pearl embellishments on this. So I'm going to take one of the sets of 3 and put them in the corner right here, and then just take one of the red ones and put it up here, and then we will use one of the clear ones over here on the red just to kind of give it a little bit different variation. So here is card number 4. So, all right, so let me show you all of these, and you can tell me which one is your favorite. So Here we go. Let me make sure you can see all of these. And then we have, I'll move this for a minute. We have our little gingerbread house one, as well as this one. All right, so these are the 4 cards that we made today. If you would like to get a card kit to make these, please place your order by next Wednesday. Let's see if I can get this where you can see it. Of $35 or more, and you will get a card kit to make all of these. Included in that, everything will be punched, die cut, dry embossed for you. Also, for the card with the gingerbread house, you will receive enough of the peppermint dies. I think there's 5 on here. So you will receive enough of those to make that card. If you would, the other embellishments will not be included. You will have enough twine to make the cards. If you would like to get the Cherry Cobbler and Pearl embellishments also, please place your order for $50 or more and use this host code. After the video is over, I will put this in the description along with a link. And just to let you know about some upcoming events that I have, if you want to always know about those, please join my email list at Inky Creations by Linda. And you will see a prompt to join my email list, and I would love to add you to that. In addition to that, today is the last day for my BOGO. If you are interested in that, please go on my Inky Creations Facebook page. There is a post about today being the last day. I think it has like a big monkey or something that I thought was funny. So, but it gives you all of the instructions there if you're interested. Other than that, I am working on cards for our retreat to go, which will happen. Registration will open for that probably in about another week. I'm planning to open that around the 19th, which is a week from tomorrow. So I will be using the reindeer fun along with, there will be 2 add-on classes, decorative trees, and then a little bit festive. And that is pretty much what I have going on right now. My club cards for November are probably going to be the Regal Flora. Those have not been designed yet, but they will get designed probably in the next week so that I can send that out to my club members. So I do see that I have Anna on here, which is one of my club members. So thank you for being here. And please let me know in the comments which one of these cards is your favorite. And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave in the comments, and I will be glad to get with you and answer your questions. Thank you so much for joining me today or watching the replay, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I will see you next Friday, probably at either 5 or 5:30. So I will post something by Thursday night just to let you know what time. Thank you and have a great weekend. Bye. Thanks, Anna.